W297CL Levittown.
This is Snow the Goalie, your weekly Flyers recap from red line to red line. Snow the Goalie is broadcasting live from Chickie's and Pete's and is heard on both 107.3 FM and 1490 WBCB and seen live on YouTube at WBCB Sports and Snow the Goalie, a Flyers podcast. Tonight's show is brought to you by Capital Grille, Chickie's and Pete's, and Payroll Service Solutions. We now go live to Chickie's and Pete's for Snow the Goalie. Now, here are your hosts, Anthony SanFilippo, Russ Joy, and former Flyer Chris Therien.
Welcome into Snow the Goalie Radio here on 1490 WBCB, 107.3 FM. Gentlemen, we are live from Chickie's and Pete's in Glassboro, New Jersey. Is it Glassboro or Glassboro? Is it an S or is it a Z? I know it's two S's.
It's
but
two S's.
Is it Glassboro or Glassboro?
Glassboro.
Glassboro.
Yeah.
Okay.
I use an S sound.
All right. I wanted to make sure we're on the same page.
Well, this isn't German.
Well, that would just be, yeah, I mean, that's easy.
Yes.
Anyway, welcome in. We have a lot to get to tonight. Your team, your town, your Philadelphia Flyers, after having a rough weekend, losing both games back-to-back at home, went on the road, took on the Montreal Canadiens, Les Habitants, right? And they pulled off a win in the shootout. Dan Vladar, a little bit up and down. The Flyers, of course, it was a tale of two games. I think it's probably the smartest place for us to start, guys. Of course, Anthony SanFilippo, Bundy, Chris Therien. Gentlemen, how are we feeling after the Flyers rebounded last night?
Feel great, because I predicted it. That's why I feel great. Look, I thought it was a tremendous first period, Yeah. Power play was on. They got a lot of shots on net, which was something that we've talked about. They've talked about. Like it's been the story of the season that they're not shooting the puck. They shot the puck. They played really good defense in that first period. The Canadians had two shots on goal the first period. It could not have gone better. Conversely, the second period couldn't have gone much worse. Now, they still got shots on goal. But they gave up 4 goals on 9 shots. Yeah. And didn't necessarily play. I know there were a couple of bad bounces, right? The first goal comes off the end boards, kind of weird, right? Yeah. So that's, can't do anything about that. Then the third goal is off the net, and then Doc, and he scores the goal. But it was not a good second period. Montreal controlled it seemed like every time they had the puck, they were scoring. Second period wasn't great. Third period, I thought the Flyers were better. Grabenkin ties it. And then it got weird in overtime. Yeah. Right? Because in overtime, Flyers win the opening draw, and it seemed like they wanted to just sit there and play keep away. And as soon as they turned the puck over to Montreal, it was like, they're going to lose this game in overtime. Yeah. And Vladar saved them. Like, he made some really big stops in overtime. The Canadians controlled 4 minutes of the overtime.
Yeah, it was in Montreal's like lethal. They had an undefeated record going into overtime, and they love to control the puck. I mean, they've been unbeatable essentially in the 3-on-3 overtime. So I don't want to say the Flyers, and we were talking about it before, we're trying to get it to the shootout, because that leaves a lot to be desired for when you try to get it to the skills contest. I think they were legitimately trying to possess the puck to try to make changes and get on the rush opportunities last night, trying to play it like other teams do. But Montreal, I got to give them a lot of credit. Like they really turned it on in that overtime. That was a great game last night.
It was fun.
Really entertaining hockey game to watch.
What a difference from Sunday, huh?
Big Sunday was one of the worst games I've ever seen, and last night was as exciting a game as you're going to find.
Well, it certainly doesn't hurt that last night they scored up 2 men, they score a power play goal in that first period. I think there were probably 2 things that we talked about the most coming into the season about what is it that the Flyers have to improve in order for them to try to be this playoff team that they want to be, right? We said goaltending had to be better than it was last year. Hard to imagine it could possibly be worse than the in and out of Sam Ersson, Alexei Kolosov trying to adjust to the North American game, Ivan Fedotov also trying to adjust to the North American game. We said, all right, goaltending is important. We can get there in a little bit. The other thing was the power play. They were so atrocious. I mean, they were a god-awful, was the nice way to put it, power play under Rocky Thompson, the Rocky Thompson Horror Show. And now that they moved on from that, seeing them score with a man advantage last night, they've done it a few times so far this year. The power play on the whole, maybe not this past weekend, but the power play on the whole has done a better job of moving the puck, not looking for the perfect pass. Last night just kind of felt like a little bit of a relief. it was good to see them kind of get back to what had worked for them prior to the 0-2 weekend.
Do you ever think there would be a time where we would say, Flyers, just get to the shootout?
Yeah, I know, especially a team that's been so historically bad at it.
Right.
And Zegras makes it look easy, the way he comes down.
The best scoring percentage in the history of the NHL.
Yeah.
In shootouts.
Nearly 66%,
yeah.
right? He's like 65.7 or something after last night.
It's crazy. It's
insane.
Absolutely crazy.
There you go, by the way. Mike Boots over on YouTube.
Yeah.
Of course, not only are we on the radio with WBCB, but we're also streaming live over on YouTube and Facebook and X. You can find us at all the Snow the Goalie channels.
And you want to put the phone number up there, too?
I'll put it up there. Let me get to his comment real quick. So
Yeah.
Mike Boots said, never thought those words would be said, quote, get to the shootout, end quote. Actually feel comfortable.
Yeah, and it's been goaltending too. Zegras changes the dynamic because he's almost a guaranteed goal.
Yeah.
But you got to give them credit. I mean, they've been to the shootout 3 times this year, won all 3 of them, and Ersson and Vladar both have been sensational in goal, and that's almost more important than the fact that you have Zegras scoring. You put the two together, that makes the Flyers a really good shootout team. Mishkov didn't score last night, but he's over 50% in his career scoring on the shootout as well. So you have 2 dynamic offensive players, and the goalies are doing a good job.
Yeah.
So get to the shootout is a good thing. Yeah. Survive that 5 minutes of overtime, and you have a real opportunity to steal an extra point.
Bunny, I actually want to go to you about this part because, Vladar looked almost otherworldly up until the game against Toronto where he gets pulled early in the third. Let's set that aside. You knew that he was going to come out and want to kind of reestablish himself, prove himself. First period, they do a great job of shot suppression. Second period, not so great. Gives up 4 goals. I wouldn't say that those were all specifically on Vladar, but it's still 4 goals. How hard is it for a guy to have a period like that, then bounce back in the third, have a solid overtime, and then go 3 for 3 on stops in the shootout? That's a lot of mental fortitude to get to that point, right?
Yeah, giving up the 4 spot after your team had the 3-0 lead, that's got to wear on a goaltender big time because you probably feel like you've let your team down, giving up after a 3-0 lead, which you think is going to be enough to get you home for the night. Yep. Yeah, he did. He bounced back nicely in the third period and the overtime and the shootout. So, there's nothing to critique about Vladar. Maybe would he like one of those stops back in the game? Probably. But in terms of what he did in the third period, giving his team a chance to tie the game and then subsequently get it to overtime, he did a great job last night.
He was really good in overtime.
Excellent.
In overtime, he saved them. He got them that second point.
That shootout goal, the shootout save that he had on the third one where he's kind of leaning to the left and then comes across with the stick and makes, that to me is a confident save.
Yeah.
Sure, there's probably a little bit of panic that sets in because you're so far off kilter, but that's an athletic play too, and he's not exactly a small guy in net either, so that was pretty impressive. Let us know what you think, though. We're going to be getting to a couple of other things here, but we'd love to hear from you. If you're listening, if you're watching live and you want to give us a call and let us know what you think about the Flyers bounce back against Montreal. And then, of course, we have to talk about also Rick Tocchet pretty much putting the team on notice last week.
Yes.
Questioning their will. So we want to get there as well and a few other things, obviously. You can give us a call, 215-949-3232. Again, that is 215-949-3232. Gents, let's actually go to the Tocchet point.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up, and I wanted to ask Bundy about it as somebody who's been in the room when a coach basically calls the team out. And Rick did it, apparently Nick Seeler said that he did it in the room and then he came out and said it publicly to the media as well. So it wasn't like he was telling the message, sending the message through the media. He told the guys first. And that's an important thing. People might not equate that, but the players appreciate that, right, Bundy?
They do, because you don't want to hear the message from the media. If the coach is really, really ticked off at your team, you want to hear it from him directly, and that's the right way to do things, the right way to handle business, especially after that game on Sunday night. It was a terrible hockey game, just terrible. Flyers didn't show. You lost to the worst team in the league at home in a back-to-back situation where you needed to recover from the night before. So yeah, he was pretty adamant and pretty open about the state of his team and what they need to do, and the disappointment it was for the fans to see that on Sunday night. And you're only as good as your last game, and I think the Flyers, the way they responded, coming out 3-0 against Montreal, I thought they came out gangbusters in that first period. A lot of things working well, even strength, lots of shots. Power play was excellent, as Anthony said earlier, but they responded exactly to kind of criticism the coach gives you. You want to see something from those guys, and they showed something.
42 shots in that game.
Yeah.
For a team that was averaging 24.
Right.
and struggled. Actually, that number went down. I think it was down to 23 after Sunday. To put up 42 shots against a team as hot as the Canadians had been, that tells you message delivered, right? I mean, that to me, even if they would have lost the game last night, even if they lose it in overtime or lose it in the shootout, that tells you right there that the message that he wanted to get across was delivered. Now, the question is, can they do it consistently? I'm not saying 42 shots a game, but can they be more than 24 consistently? Can they start getting to 27 or 28 or even up to 30, where the best teams in the league are at? And that's that. And really, it comes down to, Bundy, as we've said several times on the show. You've been trumpeting this a lot. It's all about getting to the middle of the ice.
Yep.
And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, if you have a willingness and a desire to go to the middle of the net, what you're doing is you're pulling a defenseman with you, and then that's allowing a lane to shoot the puck somewhere. If the forward's not, you're not being covered on a back check by the forward. But Flyers certainly were not helping themselves with the lack of shots that they were throwing at the net, and getting to the middle of the ice is what's paramount to this system that this team has. You have got to get to the middle of the ice, and look at the goals they scored last night because they got to the middle of the ice in a lot of
almost
power
all
play.
Yeah. So that's what it really comes down to, Russ.
One of the guys that we've talked about being willing to get to the net and to get in those greasy areas and especially win battles along the boards is Nikita Grabenkin. Not the guy that you probably would have thought would score the game-tying goal and force overtime. And it also wasn't one that he scored from down in those greasy areas, in there rubbing shoulders with defensemen. It was a pretty nice goal. He's a guy that, I think every week we talk about, he's got to be in the lineup. You got to figure out a way to get him in there. It was interesting, too, because Delorier, I would almost make the case that Delorier's fight kind of shifted a little bit of momentum, maybe woke the guys up. Those two in the lineup together doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes it's a one-for-one swap. Do you think that's something that they could look to go to again, that Tocchet could look to have those two guys in the lineup, or is that just a byproduct of Forster not being in the lineup, so you have a spot that you're trying to finagle?
I think it was more of a byproduct of Forster not being there, and I was actually, Bundy, a little surprised that he went with both of them against Montreal, considering Montreal is such a speed-oriented team. But it worked. It absolutely worked. I mean, he went after Jack-Eye, or actually maybe probably the other way around, because he fought his brother
in camp
in exhibition season. So this was probably Jack-Eye trying to get even with him. Delorier wins this fight too, so didn't really matter. But yeah, no, it's interesting. Look, Grabenkin is an interesting figure to me. I think there's more there, right? I do think that ultimately he can be a third line guy, and a good third line guy. But he does have a lot to learn still, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you see that in his game. There are still little things in the way he plays. You go, that needs to be better in order for him to get more time, right?
He's a little hesitant
in
his approach. He gets there, but it's not really quick enough sometimes. And he's doing the right things. It's not like he's doing the wrong things. It's just that he's not doing them on a timely manner. It's just he's still trying to figure stuff out, and you can tell by the way he approaches the game that that's the case.
In fairness, he's 22, and it's the first time, if I remember correctly, right, that he's made a team's opening night roster, and gotten consistent playing time this far into a season. So, I'm not surprised. There might be still a little bit of overthinking it. This, I guess, is the beauty, though, of having Tocchet as your coach instead of maybe Torts, right? In that Tocchet, all these guys have said, you're allowed to make mistakes. You're not gripping the stick a little bit tighter, worried about what happens to my playing time if I make a mistake. So it's probably a good situation for a young guy like him to be in. And I don't think a lot of people realize he's 22 years old.
Yeah, he's young.
Yeah. He'll still be 22 at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Unless they make the Stanley Cup final, which who knows? Who's to
say?
We could probably say. We have a caller on the line. We have Kevin over on the line, ready to throw down and let us know what he thinks about the Philadelphia Flyers. Kevin, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me tonight.
Great, Kevin. Where are you calling from?
I'm in Roxborough.
Roxborough.
Yeah. Good part of town.
I'll be out in Delco soon, so I'll be able to see you guys at that Malvern.
There you go.
Sooner and later.
Or Drexel Hill. If you're in Delco, Drexel Hill is the one.
Drexel Hill. I said the completely wrong location.
That's fine. You can go to the Malvern one, too. That's
you
fine.
go wherever you want.
Yeah.
Just make sure we're there.
Yeah. I'll just be there every week after this.
There you go.
That's everything.
All right. I got a couple things. I'd like to, based off what you guys were saying earlier with the way the overtime shook out, I'm still not there with the Flyers. Like, they're just not a good enough puck possession team yet. And I understand we have a long way to go. We have pieces to add to the fold. I'm just not overly impressed with their puck possession as a team so far this season. I think it's gotten better with Zegras. Drysdale coming into his own a little bit's helped on the back end. Just need to see that if they really want to make a true push for the playoffs, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think that they're better 5-on-5 puck possession. When you get into that 3-on-3 situation, that's where you really see the gap in skill.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's
exactly what pointed out to me last night.
Yeah, and that's why Bundy and I were talking about this before we went live, and it's like the game plan was almost try and hold on to the puck as much as we can, and find those little opportunities to maybe break through. And they tried it with that break to Konechny. He shoots it into the goalie's pads, and then all of a sudden Montreal gets possession of the puck, and the Flyers didn't see it for 3 minutes.
It felt like we didn't touch it again until Zegras got the shootout attempt.
Right, exactly. And so I think that's where I think you're spot on with this, is it's more so when there's less bodies on the ice. When they're 5-on-5, can they be better? Sure, but they're at least adequate, right, at puck possession. But they definitely need to be better.
For sure. I think you definitely see the 5-on-5 improvement this year. There's no doubt about that. Hopefully it just gets a little bit better, because that's absolutely a key to taking the next step as well. Another thing I wanted to touch on, too, can we figure out what's going on with Michkov yet? Like, this is getting a little annoying here, watching him. Like, it doesn't seem like he's engaged in the game for the most part when he's out there. He's just gliding.
I looked at the overtime last night and I've seen him, and he wasn't on the ice at all in the overtime, and it's just skating. You can't put him out there and as he sits right now on a 3-on-3 and expect the results to change. So, he's got to get up to speed. He's got to do a lot, I think, early in the year to catch up from whatever hampered his workout routine in the summer. And I can understand it's frustrating, but at the same time, the coach is going to play his best skaters and the guys that have the hardest willingness to play in the overtime.
Thanks, Kev.
Sure. And I think to a certain extent
sorry.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
All right, well, Kevin, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling, Kevin.
Yeah, it was a little.
We did not hang up on you.
It was a little bit of a delay.
I think that might have been the Commodore Barry Bridge that broke the connection.
I will be honest. Like I thought that was going to be the end of the call, so I had indicated to the engineers.
Oh, you did the indication
to let it, but they cut it. By the time the message got back to the studio, that's why it happened.
Kevin,
so I apologize, Kevin.
Go
that's my
yell
fault.
at Anthony on Twitter at SanFilippo. Before we move on, because I've been told that there's somebody else on the line as well, somebody that we appreciate a ton. A reminder, we are here at Chickies and Pete's in Glassboro, New Jersey. We are on our world tour of Snow the Goalie every Wednesday night at a different Chickies and Pete's location. There are 17 of them in this greater area.
We'll be hitting 12.
And they are all fantastic.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I think the crab fries tonight are the best ones that we've had so far at any of the shows.
Wow, Glassboro, you hear that?
Yeah, see,
your crab fries are the best
of
the Chickies and Pete's crab fries.
I'd say
what a compliment.
Oh, I'm just saying. I mean, listen, you got to nail it, right? Imagine cooking for Gordon Ramsay and not being able to nail the scallops. If you watch Hell's Kitchen, you get that, and if not, okay. Anyway, don't forget that each and every Wednesday night we are here live at a Chickies and Pete's location. Do you know where we are next week?
Well, I don't want to say.
Okay.
Because there's a chance we're moving it next week.
That's right. That's right, because the game with the Oilers.
Yes.
No matter the sports season, Chickies and Pete's has you covered. Start the meal off right with some of their delicious red garlic or spicy white wine mussels before you indulge in one of the mouth-watering burgers. Maybe you want to go for the barbecue burger, the Fightin's burger. You could go with a crab cake sandwich,
which we did tonight.
I'm glad that you've joined me on crab cake sandwich.
It's delicious.
It's a fantastic sandwich.
Or you could do the Bundy.
You could do the Bundy. Bundy, what's the Bundy?
Clam chowder, peel and eat cold shrimp, and pizza.
That's a great
Eat like
mix.
Bundy here at Chickies and Pete's. You gonna like polish anything else off before you
No,
go? Or
that's
no?
it.
Okay.
No.
How many shrimp was it?
I think it was like 10 or 12.
Be like Bundy. Come get the shrimp. But anyway, make sure that you come out to a Chickies and Pete's location. Like I mentioned before, there are 17 of them. Be sure to check them out at the next Flyers game. You can find Chickies and Pete's in the East Food Hall or Southeast entrance in front of Section 103. And as always, we thank the fine folks of Chickies and Pete's for their hospitality, for the lovely food, for all of the great things they offer us every Wednesday night. Anthony,
You said we had another call, so why don't we do the call, and then we'll
We
get
have the
to
other
the,
call
then we'll
ready
get to
to
the player
go.
of the week.
All right, so I've been told that Allison is on the line.
Oh,
Allison. I believe Allison is calling us from the great state of Texas.
Yes, I'm in Houston.
Allison, how are you?
Good to see you. Good to hear you, Allison.
Hi, guys.
Hi,
I'm
Allison.
calling with. Hi, Bundy. I have my daughter with me. Say hi, Madeline. Hi.
Hi, Madeline.
Hi, Madeline.
I was just calling because I thought it would be nice to call in and give fan score prediction update.
Oh,
That's a great idea.
I like that. I like that, especially since I don't know how many people joined me in the Flyers' victory last night. So,
There is one person did get the correct score.
wow,
a two-pointer.
two-pointer there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so I didn't check to see how many are on the spreadsheet yet. I think it's close to 100
Good.
already.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Good participation.
In first place, there's from Twitter. His handle name is Brad17777, and he has 9 points.
Wow, that's
And
good.
then tied for second place is Chris Freed and David from Twitter, whose handle is DMACO. They both have 8 points.
Okay, cool.
And then tied for third place, there's 4 people tied for third place: Greg B., Madeline, Mike Butts, and Ryan Sage, and they all have 7 points.
Let
And
me ask
everybody
you.
else
Wait,
is down
Allison.
below.
Allison, I got to ask though. Is the Madeline that's tied? Is that your daughter?
That is my daughter.
Good
and
for her.
We play by the rules.
Yes.
Good for her.
I love it.
That's a guy. We play by the rules.
I love it. I love it.
fantastic.
That's fantastic.
So for
Great
those who
stuff.
don't know, we do a predictions contest the entirety of the season. Every game, home and away, we put out a tweet. That tweet, you can respond with your prediction. If you get a correct score, you get 2 points on the leaderboard. If you get the result correct, it's 1 point. Whoever wins at the end of the season, the fan with the most points, they win a typically,
prize.
It's an autographed piece of memorabilia.
Yeah, usually an autographed piece
Each
of
and every year,
memorabilia.
so.
I think Mike Boots won last year, right?
He did.
He
No,
did.
or he won 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, I
One
forget
of
who won
them.
last year. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, Allison, thank you for the update. It is greatly appreciated.
Thank you. I'll call, hopefully try to call maybe the first Wednesday of every month.
Love that.
I like
Perfect.
it. That's a great bit.
Fantastic.
It's a great bit.
All right, thanks, guys. I wish I could be there, but I'm in Houston.
That's all,
Time
it's
to
all
get on.
good.
Oh, you know
Thanks,
what, Allison?
Allison.
I need some barbecue sent up from Houston. I do.
See, you know she's going to do it now. You
I'm
know,
trying to think of
you're
what.
gonna make
I'm
her
trying
feel.
to
You're
think of
going to
which
make her feel
place I
guilty.
went
She's
to.
going to
Was
do
it
it.
Pinkerton's? Pinkerton's is there. There's another one. I'll have to send you a message, Allison. There's some
Okay.
great spices.
All
down there.
right.
Awesome.
All right,
All
thanks,
right,
Allison.
thanks, guys.
Don't get Russ
Thanks, Allison.
barbecue, Allison.
Don't get.
Don't do it. Don't do it. She's the best. The fact that she tracks this for every game
From Houston, totally
from
different time
Houston.
zone. Different time zone.
Yeah, like for every game, she's amazing. She's great. Well, you know what, guys? It's time for the Payroll Service Solution Player of the Week. This week, it's always brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them at 1-866-PAY-EASY. It's 1-866-PAY-EASY. Each week, we've had a dissenting opinion, right? For the first 2 weeks, we had two guys pick one person, one guy picked another. Last week, we each picked somebody different. I have a feeling we're all going to agree this week. I have a feeling we're all going to agree on the Player of the Week this week. Do you want me to go first, or do you want you guys? You're housing the fries, so Bundy. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You can go first.
All right,
I
I'll
went
go
first last week.
All right, my Player of the Week this week, Trevor Zegras. How can it not be?
Yeah.
The way this guy's played. I mean, he's got 15 points in 13 games. He's on pace for 95 points. I know. I don't. He's going to cool off at some point. You would think, but. That's a heck of a start to a season, especially for a new team, especially coming off of the way he's played the last 2 years in Anaheim.
He was all over the ice last night in the first period,
Yeah.
especially against Montreal. And a lot of times he's carried this team through the early going of the season. The Flyers are today in a playoff spot, and I'll say mostly because of Trevor Zegras and some good goaltending early in the year.
Yeah. I mean, where would they be? Where would they be without Trevor Zegras?
Yeah,
right now?
well, yeah, you'd have to ask that
and-
question.
well,
Yeah, could be trouble.
Yeah.
They'd be in the basement. Although in this Eastern Conference, I mean, it's parity reigns supreme right now, which we can get to a little
Yeah.
bit later on. I will say, I said this earlier on my show this afternoon. There are a lot of people who owe a lot of thanks to Trevor Zegras.
Yeah.
Matvei Mishkov should be thanking Trevor Zegras. Travis Konechny should be thanking Trevor Zegras. Jet Lachenko could maybe thank Trevor Zegras. Jamie Drysdale can thank Trevor Zegras.
Well, Drysdale's been good, though.
I know, but follow me on this.
Okay.
Zegras, based on his point production, has taken a lot of that spotlight and a lot of that focus that was really firmly on Mishkov. Yes, there are still people monitoring, but Zegras has kind of lifted a little bit of that pressure off. Konechny's performance to this point in the season has not blown anyone away. We can get to, there was a report today about that. I would say that Zegras' production has kind of helped take a little bit of pressure off there. There's, of course, the guy who was drafted by this team who's no longer here, and there are two players who in some way, shape, or form can be viewed as, affiliated with that, right? Drysdale is one of them because that was the other piece of the trade. And Lachenko's taken a lot of the ire, I guess, of the fan base early in the year. Zegras' production there makes you say, all right, if he can be a top 2 center and you have Couturier and you have Cates, maybe it reduces that necessity that fans would put on Lachenko being here right now. Because you could say, hey, we're okay up the middle for right now. Takes a little bit of that pressure off. I think a lot of guys, honestly, should be thanking Trevor Zegras for the production so far.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the play that he made last night on the power play goal by Cam York.
The spinorama?
Yeah, well, yeah, and the no-look pass for a one-time goal. I mean, he's making the power play relevant. It's not going to be top of the league, but it's not going to be bottom of the league either.
Yep.
And that was, we said it, how many times did we say last year, Bundy, that if the power play were just average, how much better the Flyers would be?
Yeah.
Right? Like, it doesn't need to be great, just be an average power play.
Yeah, and last night it was great. I mean, the first period was really, really good. And I don't know how many more chances. I think they only got maybe one more chance at the end of the night by the time that the power plays were all said and done for.
Yeah.
But the power play this year, outside the first couple games, 2 or 3, 4 games of the year, it's actually done its job. Mm-hmm. It's garnered the Flyers points this year, which we have not really said in the past where the Flyers power play was abysmal. This year it's actually gotten them into play. It's gotten them to some overtimes. It's gotten them some extra points. It's done a really, really good job coming from where it's been before, and a lot of it is because of Zegras.
I would also point to the fact this guy seems to understand the city, and we could say that maybe that's because he's got friends on the team who knew what it was like to play here, and York and Drysdale. But he said all the right things. He was quoted last week as saying, like, when you come to a city like Philly with fans like this, with an expectation like this, you don't want to embarrass yourself. He came in here not being billed as like the savior of the team. I don't think anybody in the offseason was like, Trevor Zegras is going to turn this team around, make him a cup contender. But he certainly came in here with high expectations. And he's not just met them. I would say that to this point, early, small sample size, he's exceeded expectations.
No doubt.
Makes things really, really interesting because he's an RFA at the end of the year. And one has to assume that at some point there's got to be a little conversation between the team and his camp. What's the deal going to look like? The beauty of it is, thankfully, he's a restricted free agent, not an unrestricted free agent. But, man, if he keeps playing like this, that number is going to jump. If it levels off, or maybe not so much. So why don't you finish this out? And then
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You ever played volleyball?
Yeah.
Were you the setter?
Why?
Because you just set me up.
I know. I
For-
try
for-
to do
for-
that.
You just set me up for like a big spike.
That's part of the facilitating that I try to do here.
Yes,
People
yes.
are here for Bundy. I guess they're here for you. And I just want to make you guys look as good as possible. And not just physically, because, I mean, let's compare the faces.
Yeah, but-
Bundy's a gosh darn stud over there, all right? Whoa, whoa. Hey.
No, but the reason I say that,
And you got to finish this off.
and I will finish it off because we're talking about Trevor Zegras, though.
And we're talking about the potential payroll.
Very
of the Flyers.
nice.
See
Look,
that?
at you, Russ. Look at you.
On my game this
but
week.
I wrote a story today for On Pattison. It was actually a column, which is more. So the difference there is that it's more of an opinion piece. But I would tell you it's an informed opinion. And the suggestion is that yes, he's an RFA, but the Flyers would be wise to get him signed to an extension sooner rather than later. Now, I understand that in this business, negotiating contracts are never in the team's favor when a player is going really good.
Right.
Right? So, all the leverage is in the player's camp at that point. So maybe the Flyers wait a little bit to see if he cools off just a little. But I can tell you that they really like him. He really loves it here. Trevor Zegras is he gets Philly he wants to be a part of Philly, and I think that this is going to be an easy deal once they get to the negotiating. The thing that I think is the needle thread that you have to do is, let's say you had to sign him right now. Let's say you decided, we're going to go against convention, we're going to sign this guy, give him a contract, and he's going to be part of our core going forward. He's currently making, 5.6, so I would say you're going to give him a nice raise. His average annual value would probably be somewhere between like $7.5 and $8.5 million a year.
Yep.
Does that sound right?
I think it's going to be higher.
Well, no, but right now, if you had to do it
Based on like almost point per game production?
No, but where he's at, coming off of 5.6, 13 games in, if you were to do it today, that's probably the kind of raise he gets, somewhere between a $2 and a $3 million per year raise.
Yeah, somewhere in the 8s, yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right, fine. The danger of waiting is, what if he has a 100-point season?
Correct.
Right? Which is great. I mean, it's a good problem to have. But with the amount of money that's now out there in the NHL, with the cap room that the Flyers have at $46 million under the cap currently next year, I know they have 10 RFAs on the roster right now, but he's the most important of the 10, arguably. If you wait till the end of the season to start talking with Pat Brisson, his agent, are you then looking at something that's in the $9 million range, or or $10 million? You see what these guys are getting that are out there. We see these contracts, and all of a sudden it's like, holy crap! Like these guys might get overpaid. Does it make more sense to suck it up and say we might have to give a little bit more now than maybe we want to, but it's better to do that than to give a lot more than we want to later?
Yeah, I mean, you got a guy like Neskash that just got $11.5 million a year for average for 8 years. So I mean, listen, let's say Zegras has more points than him this year.
Right.
Yep.
You know, what do you do then?
What do you think Brisson's going to compare him to?
Well, of course.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a double-edged sword waiting, and then trying to do something that you can still fatten the number right now where he might make him happy.
Yeah.
But I agree. If he keeps going like this, I don't see it being under $9 million.
What do you see the term being, though? I guess is the that's a big part of it too.
That's the big wild card. That's the one I don't have a good handle on. And the reason I don't is you have some guys like Natchez who gets 8 years.
Yeah.
And then Hurley in Dallas got 8 years too, right? But then you have somebody like Connor McDavid taking a 2-year contract because he wants to hit free agency again.
Yep.
What does Trevor Zegras want? Does he want to hit free agency again, or does he want a long-term commitment? You don't know. And so that's what I'm having a hard time figuring where he lands. Do I think that the team would prefer it be a long-term deal? I do.
Sure.
Because you know that down the line that number is going to be much more team-friendly. But does the player and his agent look at it and say, we want it to be shorter, and then we'll come to a conversation again as we get closer to the end of it?
If you could get Trevor Zegras for anything under 9 right now at term, you make the deal right now. Because play this one out with me. If you look at where the team is currently cap-wise, is Trevor Zegras, regardless of if he's a center or a wing, just put together the production that you expect him to have, is he better than Owen Tippett?
Oh, yes.
Is he substantially better than Owen Tippett?
Depends how Owen Tippett's playing.
Yeah.
So I would say he's at least a good bit better than Owen Tippett. So certainly north of 6. Is he on par with what you would want to get out of Travis Konechny? They're different players, but point production-wise, he's ahead of Konechny. He potentially plays center, which is a more valuable position. If Konechny's getting 8.7, and I get it, that contract was signed before the cap started jumping, would you be comfortable with Trevor Zegras making the same money that Travis Konechny is? I think, based on the position and the point production and the age, only 24.
Yeah,
so I would say you say yes.
The one thing to keep in mind is the one little caveat that I mentioned is they do have 10 players on their current roster, not minor leaguers. 10 players on the current roster who are RFAs at the end of the season.
That includes Brink, Grabenkin. Grabenkin's going to be cheap though. He's making $875 this year. Brink is making 1.5. So those guys should come back at a pretty reasonable number, you would think. Drysdale is going to get an increase on $2.3 million. Zamula, I don't think will be here, so I don't think that one's going to matter. I don't think Jacob Gaucher is going to matter much, do we? I mean, I don't know.
Probably not.
So that's 2 you can kind of rule out. Adam Yinning, that'll be an interesting conversation at 26 years of age. Certainly going to get an increase over $787,000. Emil Andre's in pretty much the same boat there. Like, it might be one or the other with those guys. You don't really know.
Right.
I think if you kind of look at it like that,
And then both backup goalies.
Well, and that's
Urson and
that's a
Kolosov.
totally different thing. But
it's money. So,
Yeah,
so you have to consider that against your cap.
I would say of the 10, then you say maybe 7 of those guys are ones that you would probably want to look at.
Right.
Bringing back.
So you have to save enough room for all those guys out of that $46 million that you're under the cap right now.
Yep.
So the ones you want to bring back, you have to figure that out what it's going to be, and you don't want it to get to such a low number that you can't really do anything to improve the team in the offseason. So I think that matters in this conversation.
Here's the tricky thing. By the way, did you finish the?
No, I will wrap that up now.
Because this is about payroll.
So this was your payroll service solutions player of the game, player of the week, Trevor Zegras. Once again, brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for the smart choice in payroll services. Payroll Service Solutions catering to the small and medium-sized business to handle all of your payroll needs. Call them once again at 1-866-PAY-EASY.
You just brought up small and medium. What was that? Small and medium
Yes.
sized business?
Yes.
That sounds like the 2026 free agent class, because there's practically nobody left. When you talk about, hey, you have to have money available to improve the team. I mean, it's kind of like you're looking around and you see the what's that thing called in the prairies, right around in the desert, the ball.
Tumbleweeds.
Tumbleweeds. I mean, it's tumbleweeds at this point. It's really
The thing in the prairies,
Yeah.
it's a ball.
Yeah. It's like it's tumbleweeds. I mean, that's the 2026 free agent class. A year ago, everyone was salivating. Think about all the possibilities. And we have to be fair. The Flyers talked about a lot of money's coming off the cap, or a lot of money's coming off the books, for 2026. They never said specifically, yes, we are going to chase after Connor McDavid. Yeah. But of course they wanted to. Yes, we want to chase after Kirill Kaprizov. But of course there was a thought that they at least wanted to have a conversation. Those guys are all gone. So the cap stuff does matter, but I guess the real question there is it more to make sure that you have the flexibility on the cap for a trade? And I think that is ultimately where they're going to have to get better. It's really their only option going into next year, right, is trades. Is there a free agent right now that you're getting all excited about? Do you want Artemi Panarin? Does that
You
move
got
the needle for
Panarin
you?
and you got Adrian Kempe. Kempe I like a lot. Adrian Kempe. I really do.
Okay.
I'd take him in a heartbeat. Like, he'd instantly be one of the top 2 players on this team.
Yeah, he'd be right there. That's for sure.
Right? I mean, so like that's a guy that for me, that's who I would be interested in.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I mean, you're right. The list has shrunk considerably. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
I want to go out really quick to. I've been told we have another caller on the line, and then I want to come back to this conversation
Yeah,
because
for sure.
it's part of like the rebuild. I think you have to take a look at the rebuild and how the free agency works in. Joe from Florida, we're being told, man, we went Texas. Roxborough, of course, is relatively local, but we went to Texas, and now we're going to Florida to Joe. Joe, thanks for calling Snow the Goalie Radio. How are you?
Hey, doing good. Hey, I really like your show. And
Thanks.
I have a quick Rebenkin story real quick. Last year, I get the center ice package down here where I can watch all the Flyers games, but I switched over and was watching Toronto-Ottawa. And they had a kid come out and skate around the ice, for their first game. And, they talked about this is Nikita Grabenkin, come from the KHL and a few things. I said, that's cool. So I watched the game, and he stood out. This kid stood out in that game. He didn't score, but he really did well down below the net and on, with people up against the boards. And Chief had good things to say. He got in a fight too that game. Had a nice fight over in front of the bench, the Ottawa bench. And I remember thinking, man, we need a guy like this, young kid, and I didn't think nothing else about the kid. And then months and months later, I saw that Philadelphia traded Lawton to Toronto. And for a 2027 draft pick, which I thought, man, that's great. That's and I guess half the salary, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was a great pick. And then at the bottom of the screen it said Philadelphia also acquires Nikita Grabenkin, and I just couldn't believe it. I think Danny did well in that trade, and I think in the future we will look at that trade that straight up Grabenkin for Lawton, and I like Lawton, but considering where he was in his career, how many years and all that, that's going to prove to be an excellent trade.
But Bundy, do you have an opportunity to talk to Chief about Grabenkin?
I didn't. I haven't.
Oh, okay.
No,
All right.
I have not. No.
I know he liked him.
Yeah, I know that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't hurt you. Like we talked about a little bit earlier, but he's still just learning. He's still learning a lot of things, learning a lot about the league, learning about the other players on the other team, different tendencies guys have, things that he can do that maybe he hasn't done before, or things that he did before that he shouldn't be doing at this level. I definitely think the way he plays the game, he could be a really, really solid third-line player as his team moves forward.
What I liked about last night, they gave him the Bernie mask after the game.
Yeah.
And I got to look it up to get the exact quote that he said. And I'll have it for you in 1 second because the Flyers tweeted it out after the game last night.
This is a Gurbenkin quote?
This is Gurbenkin.
Okay.
Because they give him the goalie mask, and he puts the goalie mask on, and he goes, "One team, one family, let's go Flyers."
Oh, what a guy.
Great guy.
One team, one family, let's go Flyers. So you gotta love that energy.
He's a likable guy.
Yes.
You need those guys.
Yes.
Bundy, like, how important is it to have? And by the way, thank you to Joe for calling
thanks
in
for
from all the
calling
way
from
down
Florida.
in Florida.
Yeah.
How important is it to have those kind of character guys in the locker room and the ones who bring some levity? Because it certainly seems like he's a likable dude.
Especially Russian, though, too. You know, like to have that kind of flair and a little bit of character to you. It's going to, like, draw guys to you. But it is good to have character guys that really like being here, that want to be here, want to be a part of the future. Yeah, he earned it last night. He got the tying goal for the team in the third period and played a pretty good hockey game. But I think it's great to have a guy like that in his locker room.
Now, I want to come back to what we were talking about before we went out and chatted with Joe. So there's the conversation, and there was a report today that the Flyers,
It was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
A report that the Flyers, are disappointed in the start of the year for Owen Tippett and Travis Konechny. They could look to trade one of those guys. I don't know if I said both, but certainly one of those guys. And so I want to kind of frame it, though, not as like, hey, are the Flyers going to get rid of these guys? When you look at the rebuild as it's currently constructed, and Ant, you and I talked about this on the phone earlier today, one of the things that people are kind of focusing in on, and I don't blame them for it, is when you look at where a team is at in their rebuild phase, the three positions that are the most vital, right? 1C, number one defenseman, number one goalie. You could maybe make a case right now that Zavragan playing over in the KHL, young, doing really well, he maybe is the guy that you can hang your hat on and say, you know what, we think down the line he could be the number one goalie. He's the guy in the pipeline. They also like Bjarnason, and they like some of these other guys. Okay. So maybe you have your number one goalie. Number one defenseman, we could probably agree. That guy's not on this team right now, probably not in the pipeline yet. You're going to have to find that guy somehow. Sanheim has done an admirable job of becoming a top pair defenseman, but probably not a number one long-term.
Agreed.
Yep.
Center, I mean, would it be great to have Trevor Zegras develop into a number one center? Like, it would be. Do we think it's probably going to happen? I would say more likely he's a 2C, and that's a very valuable thing.
I think he's more likely a first-line winger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
He's not, because defensively, you have to, when you're a top-line center, you have to also be really good defensively.
Yeah.
And he's got a long way to go in that department.
So, like, if you look at that checklist, you go, all right, maybe the goalie, definitely not the number one defenseman, and as of right now, it kind of looks like, on the number one center, there might be some people who try to sell you the idea that Jet Lachenko.
No, he's never going to be a number one center.
I don't necessarily know what Nesbitt's going to be. There's still some improvement to be made there, size-wise and skill-wise. Like, maybe there's a top six forward there. I bring all this up because when you come back to Tippett and you come back to Konechny, those guys would have interest from other teams on the trade market in theory. I don't know if there's a way to use either one of those guys to get somebody in the pipeline who maybe is, I don't want to say fallen out of favor with their team, but maybe a defenseman who hasn't developed the way that a team hopes, and you say, you know what, we want to take a shot. And maybe a Tippett for that guy makes sense. Konechny, I have no idea where he would be at, in terms of trade canvassing. So, like, on that report,
so
that
the report comes from Daily Faceoff, and my first inkling is this: I think it's a slightly premature report. I'm not saying that it's wrong or that it's misinformed, because it's not. Flyers have not been thrilled with the start to Konechny's season, although he's been better the last few games.
Right.
Like, he's been better. He's got 4 points last 4 games. Like, so he's kind of getting going. It just took him a little bit to get started. That said, you would need to offer up a top 6 player to trade for Konechny. Like that, you're not just throwing away Konechny for nothing, right? So that has to be where it starts. Flyers are not shopping him, and I don't think any team's offering what the Flyers would want for Konechny. So I think you could put that one out to pasture, in my mind, at least right now, in season, no less.
Yeah.
I certainly can put that one out to pasture. The Owen Tippett one is certainly more interesting, and I think that ultimately could happen, but not now. Like, this is not something that the Flyers are going to say, we're moving on from Owen Tippett in November. Like, I think that you might see some, they're going to let it play out a little bit. Look, he's a streaky guy, right?
Yes, he is.
He's very streaky. And streaky players are frustrating at times, right? Because for 6 or 7 games, they're unstoppable. And then for 6 or 7 games, they do nothing. And so you're like, oh, can't you just be a little bit more consistent, right? I think that when you look at their contracts, I think that they're less happy with Tippett's contract than they are with Konechny's. And so therefore, if they had an opportunity to move that one, I think that they would. But again, it's not going to be something that you're just dumping it, right? I think that it's a situation where you try and find a need in another spot, and maybe it's somebody else who's got a similar type player under a similar type situation, and it's a swap of change of scenery guys. That's where I think, because I look at Tippett.
That's where the Bo Byram thing I think kind of came from.
Yeah, maybe. And look, and everybody's been talking about. So Marc Bergevin, former Canadiens general manager, is now a senior advisor for the LA Kings, was at 3 straight Flyers games this week, sitting in the press box. So everybody panicked. Everybody's like, the Kings must be interested in a trade. Trade them Owen Tippett for whatever. What I will say to you on this is this. Marc Bergevin is a senior advisor, so he's not a chief scout. He's not he's just an advisor. And the Flyers had 3 home games in 4 days. That's an opportunity for somebody to see 4 teams.
Yep.
May not be just to scout the Flyers. They're scouting 3 other teams as well. Okay? So don't make a lot out of that. That said, I think Owen Tippett is a player who would succeed somewhere else with a better playmaking center, right? I mean, in my mind, I think that if he has a real, true playmaking center, you would see a better version of Owen Tippett. And
isn't that what we? But in fairness, isn't that what you'd say about most wingers who have top 6 aspirations?
But that's why they're wingers.
Yeah.
Right. That's why they're not centers. They're wingers for a reason, because they need to be a Robin, not a Batman.
So, put him with Zegras then.
That would be my thought.
Yeah, but the problem is that Zegras is not always playing center. So Zegras needs to be on a line with another guy like Dvorak, right? That's why that's been the pairing.
But see, then that's your problem, though.
That's the problem. That's why I just said that.
In order for you to unlock the guy's potential, I don't know. See, we can go back to that Tippett deal. I think I said at the time, I was not a fan of that deal. It's a long-term commitment. Bundy, I don't know if it's just me. Maybe it is. I find that a lot of games, he makes decisions on the ice that I don't think a guy. He's 26. It's not to make it sound like he's, super old or anything. He makes mistakes on the ice, like boneheaded plays that I would expect like a 22-year-old who's overthinking.
He's one of those guys who's not getting to the middle of the ice.
He likes to play the perimeter. There's no doubt about that.
And I think that's what's driving them nuts about him, is that if he would just get to the middle of the ice a little bit more, it would make everything a lot better.
Do you remember, wasn't it in one of the Mighty Ducks? I know.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want the
Was it one of the Mighty Ducks movies is the one where the kid was super, super fast, but he couldn't stop?
Yes.
Was that like D3? That might have been D3.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
That to me is like Tippett. It's like you have these games where you go like, oh, look at the speed. The speed's incredible. It's next level speed. If you can't do anything with it, right? If you're blowing past your line mates and you still can't make a play, well, then the speed doesn't matter. Like, having that skill set's great if you have somebody who can match that speed or maximize it. Right now, it doesn't seem like he has it.
I just worry about him and Zegras, because Zegras is not a good defensive forward. Having the two of them together on a line.
When you wouldn't want to blow it up. Like, how about Cates? So, we know that the Forster breaking Cates line has worked well.
Cates
not
isn't
a playmaking center, though.
Yeah. So
that's the
and
difference.
Couturier, the speed thing is a pretty big
Yeah.
deal. So, okay. Interesting. All right, I want to go out. There's Ant has been doing this hand
we have a
motion.
caller.
Well, the people on the stream are like, oh yeah, hang loose, bro. Like doing a little bit of surfing. But I've been told that Steven is on the phone calling into Snow the Goalie Radio. So Steven, how are you doing?
Hey guys, what's going on?
How you doing, Steven?
Where are you calling from?
Actually, I'm in Kingston, Pennsylvania, next to Wilkes-Barre.
There we go. Oh,
okay.
way up there.
There you go.
In the cold
region-ish
area.
My
So
son and my brother are Penguins fans, but so I do go to the Baby Pens games. But I'm from Vermont originally, and been a Flyers fan forever.
Must be because of Johnny
cool.
Vermont, right?
Yeah. Big fan of Johnny LeClair, yeah.
Johnny LeClair, yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in Milton, Vermont, and he's from St. Albans, so it's like 20 minutes away.
How about that? There you go.
Small world.
Well, thanks for calling in.
Yeah,
What
so
do we
great
got?
show, guys. I'll cut to the chase. I agree with Tippett. I mean, I like the guy and all, but yeah, and I get the streaky player thing because I get all that. But yeah, I'd like to see if they can maybe move him on to get somebody else.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that there's, again, I think that if you looked at this roster right now and said there's one player that they could move off this roster and have the replacement ready to come in, because you got Alex Bump down in the Phantoms who can come in and play that spot.
And you also happen to have Porter Martone waiting.
Well, Porter Martone coming next
waiting in the wings,
coming next
in the
year,
future.
Right. So so if you had said that, like, who's that guy that you could move? It would certainly be Owen Tippett. But again, you need to have another team that's willing to give you the value that you want to get in return for that player. You just don't want to just dump him off for nothing. And that's where things become interesting, Steve, because teams in November, October, November, even December, when teams are talking trade with you, they're always undershooting, right? They're always coming in low with what they're offering. So you really have to wait them out. And then when you get to the trade deadline, the interesting thing that happens is teams don't always necessarily want to trade for players with a lot of term, because at that point they're just looking to get through the rest of the season and into the playoffs, player that's going to help them. You sometimes get it, but you don't get it as often that you get a player with a lot of years left traded. So the Owen Tippett trade, to me, if it happens, doesn't happen until the offseason. That's not to preclude it from happening before then. I'm not saying that. I think it could, but I think that your best bet, if you're laying the odds as to when that would happen, I think it's better bet that it happens after April.
Okay.
Right. I'm really excited to see what Zegras. I mean, that's just incredible, right? But I think the more that the Flyers can bring in better players like that, the ones that don't shine so well are going to, not look so good.
Yeah, I agree. Great. Appreciate the call, Stephen. And one thing I want to say about that, Zegras being a guy who has expressed his desire to stay here and how much he loves it here, that bodes so well for when you're trying to bring other people here.
Yes.
Especially considering their reputation took such a hit for the last several years with previous ownership or previous management of ownership. Not previous ownership, obviously the same owner, but the previous management of the team.
Yeah.
And with the previous coach, right?
Yep.
So their reputation took a big hit in that regard. This would be a very big step forward for them to say to other players who might potentially be thinking about Philadelphia, hey, here's a kid who came in here and loves it here and wants to be a part of it, and he's going to tell you all about how great it is.
Yeah, and you have a player that will do that if he gets that signature, and you have a coach that guys are going to want to come play for.
Yeah.
No free agent was going to come and play for Tortellini. It just wasn't happening. Tortorella, I mean.
I thought he was just shading him for fun. I was like,
I didn't know what you're laughing at, so I realized I said that. I didn't mean it.
You were thinking about Billy from South Philly.
Billy from South Philly.
South Philly,
Yeah,
right,
he
the
was,
Marinara. But there wasn't. Like, what good free agent? I mean, is McDavid? Would Connor McDavid want to come here and play for him?
No.
Not in a million years.
So let me fix. Now, this is ridiculous in a lot of ways. However, if they make the playoffs this year, and it's a team that really plays hard, and next year they add to the team a little bit, obviously this guy, the belief is that he's going to want to go play with his brothers in New Jersey. But Quinn Hughes played for Rick Tocchet, was effusive in his praise of Rick Tocchet after Tocchet left Vancouver. Yep. All right, maybe you can't play with your brothers, but you can be right down 95.
Oh, yeah.
I almost wonder, think about it. That is a way to solve that number one problem. That 1D problem. And then you're getting one step closer to potentially having that core. Now, again, he has another year under contract beyond this season. So you're looking at the summer of 2027 to try to
unless Vancouver goes in the tank and then they realize, all right, maybe we need to,
make a move
beforehand and get something for him. Yeah, could well be.
It's just like that's where you start to, you like to say that I I like to, play out the trade game a little bit too much and all that, and that's usually true.
It's okay to dream.
I am not in the dream mode for this. I'm just like, you know what? There's like a non-zero chance it could happen, but I wouldn't put any real money on it. But it would be interesting to see it play out.
For sure. Hey, by the way, Flyers play again when? Tomorrow night, correct?
At Nashville
At
at 8
Nashville.
o'clock. Yeah.
Now, you know what? If you need the perfect place to watch that game tomorrow night,
Anthony SanFilippo's living room?
besides that is the perfect place.
Okay.
But the second best place, beside my living room, is right here, Chickies and Pete's. Grab a basket of crab fries, go to one of the specialty pizzas. They have the Lisa Blonde lobster pie, shrimp tomato, hot honey pepperoni. We haven't tried that one yet.
We should try that.
We have to
Should
try
we get
that.
that after the show's over?
The hot honey pepperoni.
Hot pepperoni. Yeah,
Yeah, we got to try that one. You can stop by the flagship South Philly location as well if you're going to go to the game on, Saturday. It's an afternoon game, but maybe next Wednesday when they're playing the Edmonton Oilers. Great spot to go before the Flyers game. Go down to the one in South Philly and check out chickiesandpete's.com to see if they have any upcoming events and more. So great place to get your meal before for a road Flyers game or before a home Flyers game.
Now, listen, I don't want to infringe upon Europe's song, but we are towards the final countdown of the show.
Yes.
And I've been told Max is on the line, and we have a policy here at Snow the Goalie Radio to not leave anybody on the line before we wrap up the show. So, Max, where are you calling from?
Russ, what's going on? This is Max from Hoboken, actually. Long-time Philly guy, but moved up to Hoboken, Jersey.
Nice, Max.
I love it.
Max,
Thanks for checking in, Max.
What's up?
Yeah, so first off, I want to say the podcast is phenomenal. It's easily the best one out there if anyone's tuning in.
Thank you.
Definitely the best one I listen to. So, you're not going to like this because I am on a Team Russ, type of rebuild here. But I want to get your guys' thoughts. So you watched the game last night, and you just see how Montreal is just loaded, with this high-end talent. And when I watch the game, I just don't think the Flyers compare to that team. Like, to me, it looks like two different teams on the ice in terms of skill. And the NHL's moving to that type of play, with the high-end skill, guys getting lots of points. Where do the Flyers get that talent from? With the rebuild path they've gone, like I just don't know where they're going to even match up to a team like that.
Yeah,
so I'd love to get your guys' opinion on that.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Max. Appreciate it, and I still love you, even if you are on Team Russ. I don't show that much bias, but my response to you is this. First of all, Montreal was a little bit ahead of the Flyers as far as the rebuild, right? Like they had a couple of players already in their.
And you add that Demidov, too.
Right, and you add they were adding.
So good.
They were adding to something that was already there before the Flyers were. So they were a step ahead. But I agree with you that they are ahead of the Flyers. And where do the Flyers come up with that? Well, they had a huge draft year this past year. They're hoping some of those guys hit, right? Obviously, everyone's going to talk about Porter Martone. They think that he's going to be one of those high-end guys. They traded up for Jack Nesbitt because they believe he's going to be one of those high-end guys. We heard Colby Cohen tell us last week that he was really impressed with Shane Van Sage in that Michigan State BU series up in Boston. That there's a lot of hope that there's a guy there, and then that you got other players who obviously it's disappointing that Oliver Bonk's been hurt and not been able to play, but they believe in Bonk. They believe in Luchenko, even though he's not in the NHL yet. You're talking about us, and then of course there's Zavragin in goal, who hasn't even come in yet. I think that is the answer to they're going to be coming. It might not be this year, but it's going to be in a couple years.
It might be a delayed gratification.
Yeah.
Would we like to have the instant? Yes. There are some guys in the pipeline, and I don't think it's blowing smoke. I do think that some of these guys have
some quality
legit,
in the pipeline now.
Legit
It's not like before where you had this guy or that guy, but now I really feel like they do have some real bodies there that can make this team better down the road.
Now, we will be back on Saturday over on all the Snow the Goalie channels. We'll be live from the Xfinity Mobile Arena. It's a 1 o'clock start for the Flyers
so
game, so 12:30 for Press Row Show.
And we're going to have a special guest.
That's what I've heard.
Yes, from ESPN.
So make sure you tune in and find out who that is.
Yeah.
We will be live from Xfinity Mobile Arena on Saturday. Until then, do us a favor, like the video, share the video, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. You can find the show wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music. A big thank you to the fine folks at Chickies and Pete's. Some great crab fries tonight and a great time talking some puck. Big thank you to everybody who listened to us over on WBCB. Until next time, this has been Snow the Goalie Radio. Have a great night, everybody.
You're listening to 1490 WBCB and on your FM dial at 107.3 W297CL.